Welcome to a journey into the world of the unexplained. Tonight we step into haunted places and encounter restless spirits, guided by tales that chill and captivate. Are ghosts merely echoes of the past, or are they still watching us now? Share your thoughts, and let's explore the whispers of the unknown together. Deep in the shadow of Mount Fuji lies a forest unlike any other, a place where the air seems heavier, the silence louder, and the path ahead almost impossibly dense. This is Aokigahara, known to many as the Sea of Trees, a name that evokes the waves of dark green that stretch endlessly beneath the towering volcanic slopes. At first glance, it might seem like a serene, untouched wilderness, the kind of place hikers dream of exploring for its beauty. But anyone who steps carefully among the twisted roots and thick foliage soon senses that something is different here, something that cannot be explained simply by nature alone. Aokigahara has long been steeped in both history and legend. Centuries ago, it was a place tied to Japanese mythology, a forest where spirits were believed to linger, where the barrier between the living and the dead thinned. Folk tales speak of eerie, the restless spirits of those who suffered untimely deaths, wandering silently among the trees. These stories, whispered from one generation to the next, gave the forest an almost sacred dread, a recognition that life and death intertwine here in ways the outside world struggles to understand. The ground beneath your feet is said to carry the energy of countless souls, and many locals still speak of hearing soft voices, mournful cries, or footsteps following them long after they have left the forest's edge. In modern times, Aokigahara has earned a reputation that casts a darker shadow over its already enigmatic aura. It is known worldwide as a place where despair and loss converge, where those seeking an end to their suffering have vanished among the trees. Statistics are chilling, and yet numbers only hint at the forest's true weight. Each report, each story of a missing hiker or an individual who never returned, adds another layer to the collective consciousness surrounding this place. Visitors often leave behind signs of their presence, notes or markers, reminders that someone once walked here and never came back. It is a forest that listens and remembers, and those who step inside often feel the weight of that awareness pressing in, unrelenting and intangible. What makes Aokigahara particularly eerie is the way it interacts with the senses. The forest is unusually quiet. The dense canopy blocks much of the wind, and the thick moss and volcanic rock absorb the sounds of footsteps, making every movement feel isolated, almost amplified. Hikers often describe a sensation of being watched, a feeling that eyes are upon them, even when no one is visible. Compasses sometimes fail here, adding to the disorientation, while the labyrinthine paths can twist back on themselves in ways that make it nearly impossible to follow the same trail twice. The natural beauty is deceptive, almost a siren song that lulls visitors into a false sense of safety before revealing its more sinister side. Many of the stories surrounding Aokigahara involve encounters with figures that appear only briefly before vanishing. Some describe shadowy silhouettes between the trees, moving with deliberate, almost sentient motion. Others speak of a sudden chill, the kind that penetrates the bones and seems to carry the weight of untold sorrow. One hiker told of hearing a faint whisper calling their name, only to find the forest empty when they turned to look. Another claimed to have seen a figure standing silently among the trees, its face obscured by hair and shadow, vanishing entirely when approached. These accounts, repeated over decades, form a tapestry of unease, each story feeding into the forest's reputation as a place where reality bends and the unseen feels frighteningly close. There are even tales that hint at more than just passive observation. Some speak of being led deeper into the forest by something unseen, almost like an invisible guide ensuring the traveler never finds the same path twice. Others recount moments where the landscape itself seems to shift. The moss-covered rocks appear rearranged, a path that once existed disappears, and new trails emerge without explanation. Scientists attribute much of this to the natural density of the forest and the unusual volcanic terrain. Yet locals and those attuned to the spiritual side of Aokigahara insist that these phenomena cannot be explained solely by logic or geology. Aokigahara's history is not just made of ghost story. During the Edo period, records tell of a practice known as ubasute, where the elderly or infirm were left in remote locations to die. While historians debate the prevalence of this practice, it is believed by some that Aokigahara may have been one such location. This association with abandonment and death has left an imprint on the forest's identity, a lingering echo that seems to seep into the very soil. Each step taken among the trees feels as though it carries the weight of generations, of stories untold, and lives quietly ended. Even in daylight, Aokigahara carries an oppressive sense of isolation. Sunlight barely reaches the forest floor through the dense canopy, leaving much of the forest in semi-darkness. The air is thick with the scent of moss and damp earth, and every sound seems exaggerated. The snap of a twig, the distant call of a bird, even the whisper of wind through leaves. Some visitors report an almost dreamlike quality to the forest, a feeling that time itself moves differently here. Hours can pass unnoticed, and the forest seems indifferent to the concerns of those who wander within it. Locals caution against wandering too far without guidance, not only because of the risk of becoming lost, but because the forest has a way of amplifying the mind's fears. It is said that those who enter with sorrow or despair may find it reflected back tenfold, manifesting as shadows, whispers, or feelings of being followed. There are accounts of hikers leaving the forest feeling as though they had glimpsed the past, as though the spirits of those who had walked here before lingered in the corners of their vision, always just out of reach, but never truly gone. Some of the most compelling stories from Aokigahara come from those who have survived encounters that defy explanation. One hiker, a young man exploring the forest on a sunny afternoon, spoke of following what appeared to be a narrow trail through the dense trees, only to find himself in a clearing he did not recognize. The ground was covered in a thick layer of moss, and in the center stood a small shrine, weathered and nearly hidden beneath years of foliage. He remembered feeling an almost overwhelming presence, as though invisible eyes were observing him from every direction. Though no one was there, he said he could feel the weight of countless lives, their despair and sorrow pressing down around him. He left the clearing with a newfound respect and fear for the forest, a place that seemed to exist simultaneously in the present and some other darker plane. Another account tells of a pair of hikers who became disoriented near a section of the forest, infamous for frequent disappearances. As night fell, a dense fog rolled in, muffling every sound and obscuring the path ahead. They claimed to hear faint laughter, soft footsteps echoing in the shadows, and whispers that seemed almost human but impossible to place. One of them swore they glimpsed a figure in traditional Japanese attire, standing silently among the trees, staring at them with eyes that seemed to pierce right through their souls. When they approached, the figure vanished, leaving only the rustling of leaves and the oppressive silence of the forest. They found their way out hours later, shaken, but the memory of those eyes lingered long after they left. Aokigahara is not only a place of spirits, but also of objects left behind, relics of those who arrived with intentions they never fulfilled. Travelers and search teams often stumble upon notes, personal items, and small makeshift memorials scattered among the trees. Some contain messages of despair, while others simply mark a life that once sought solace within the forest's embrace. These remnants act as both warnings and evidence of the forest's power, reinforcing the sense that Aokigahara is a place where the living and the dead coexist in a fragile, uneasy balance. Every discovery adds another layer to the forest's mystique, reminding visitors that the stories they hear are not merely folklore but the lived experiences of countless individuals. Despite its grim reputation, Aokigahara has drawn explorers, researchers, and paranormal investigators from around the world. Many attempt to uncover the rational explanations behind the forest's strange phenomena. Some attribute the eerie experiences to natural causes, dense vegetation, magnetic anomalies affecting compasses, and the psychological effects of isolation. Others, however, insist that logic alone cannot account for the inexplicable sensations, the whispered voices, and the fleeting shadows that seem almost purposeful in their movements. In a place like Aokigahara, science and superstition collide, each attempting to explain the unexplainable in its own way. Interestingly, the forest has also influenced Japanese art and media, often depicted as a location where reality bends and the supernatural seeps into everyday life. Movies, novels, and documentaries explore its darkness, amplifying its notoriety while capturing the haunting beauty of its dense trees and quiet pathways. These cultural interpretations often blend fact and fiction, but they all share a common thread, a recognition that Aokigahara is a place of mystery, where human emotion and natural power intermingle to create something far larger than any one story. There is a particular section of the forest where the trees grow in twisted, almost unnatural formations, their trunks curving and intertwining like living sculptures. Visitors report feeling an invisible pressure in these areas, as though the very air has weight and consciousness. Some say that those who linger too long risk being drawn deeper, not by any physical force, but by something far more subtle. A whisper carried on the wind, a flicker of movement just beyond sight, a sensation that the forest itself is aware of their presence. It is as if the sea of trees watches, not with malice, but with the cold indifference of a place that has seen far too much sorrow to be affected by any single life. And yet, Aokigahara is not entirely a place of fear. There is a strange beauty in its isolation, a haunting serenity that draws those who are willing to observe rather than intrude. Moss-covered rocks, sparkling streams, and ancient trees create a setting both magnificent and unsettling. It is a reminder that the forest is alive, but alive on its own terms, indifferent to human desire or understanding. Those who walk carefully, with respect for its history and presence, often report a different sensation, a quiet reverence, as if they have glimpsed something eternal hidden within the shadows. Some researchers and spiritual practitioners describe Aokigahara as a thin place, a location where the boundary between the living and the dead is fragile, where the veil can be felt brushing against the skin. It is a notion that resonates deeply with those who have felt the forest's presence. The sudden chill, the inexplicable sadness, the fleeting glimpses of movement in the corner of one's vision. Whether these experiences are supernatural or psychological, they are undeniably real to those who have walked the forest paths. In Aokigahara, every step is a story, every shadow a question, and every whisper an invitation to ponder what truly exists beyond the known. One of the most unsettling aspects of Aokigahara is the forest's uncanny ability to erase certainty. Visitors frequently report losing all sense of direction, even those carrying maps or GPS devices. Trails loop back on themselves in ways that seem impossible, and familiar landmarks can disappear entirely as one moves through the dense trees. This has led many to theorize that the forest itself is an active participant in its mysteries, subtly guiding wanderers along paths that appear familiar but ultimately lead them somewhere entirely unexpected. For those who respect the forest, this can feel like an eerie lesson in humility. For those who enter carelessly, it can become a source of deep fear. Countless stories tell of fleeting encounters with apparitions, each unique but sharing a common thread of otherworldliness. One hiker recounted a moment when he glimpsed a pale figure dressed in white among the trees. As he approached, the figure seemed to dissolve into the mist, leaving only the faint scent of incense hanging in the air. Another visitor described hearing someone call their name repeatedly, a soft voice that drifted on the wind and seemed to echo from nowhere and everywhere at once. The experience left her trembling and profoundly unsettled, a vivid reminder that Aokigahara has a presence that cannot be measured or explained. Local folklore also suggests that the spirits in Aokigahara are not always passive observers. Some tales speak of the forest guiding visitors toward safety or danger, depending on their intentions and state of mind. Those who enter with respect for life and the forest's history may experience a strange sense of protection, a quiet guidance that leads them safely through the winding paths. Conversely, those carrying despair, anger, or ill intent may find themselves disoriented, hearing voices that pull them deeper into the trees, lost until the forest chooses to release them. Whether these stories are literal truth or metaphorical warnings, they add another layer to the forest's enduring mystique. Aokigahara's presence has inspired artists, writers, and filmmakers to explore the tension between life, death, and the unknown. Movies often portray it as a place where reality itself becomes unstable, where ghostly figures emerge from the shadows and the forest seems to breathe with a life of its own. Literature and photography capture the haunting beauty of its twisted trees and deep green expanses, emphasizing both its serenity and its menace. These cultural portrayals reinforce the idea that Aokigahara is more than just a forest. It is a symbol of mystery, of the boundary between the seen and unseen, and of the human fascination with the unknown. Yet despite the chilling stories and eerie atmosphere, Aokigahara draws thousands of visitors each year. Hikers, researchers, and tourists come to experience its dense beauty firsthand, to feel the silence that presses in from all sides, and to test their courage in a place renowned for both its natural wonders and its darker associations. Many leave with a sense of awe and unease, forever changed by the forest's dual nature, both breathtaking and terrifying, alive yet filled with echoes of lives long gone. Some speak of the forest in reverent tones, describing the profound stillness and the almost sacred quality of the environment. Others speak in hushed voices about shadows and whispers, warning newcomers silence that presses in from all sides, and to test their courage in a place renowned for both its natural wonders and its darker associations. Many leave with a sense of awe and unease, forever changed by the forest's dual nature, both breathtaking and terrifying, alive yet filled with echoes of lives long gone. Some speak of the forest in reverent tones, describing the profound stillness and the almost sacred quality of the environment. Others speak in hushed voices about shadows and whispers, warning newcomers to tread carefully and respect the unseen. The history of Aokigahara intertwines with its reputation for tragedy. Over the decades, the forest has become widely known for suicides, which only amplify its haunted aura. Japanese authorities have posted signs urging those in distress to seek help, and volunteer patrols occasionally comb the forest in search of those in danger. Despite these efforts, the forest retains a magnetic pull for both the living and the spirits of the past. Every life that touches Aokigahara leaves an imprint. Every disappearance adds another thread to the tapestry of mystery that surrounds the forest. It is often said that Aokigahara is a mirror, reflecting the state of mind of those who enter. Some visitors feel a profound sadness, a creeping despair that mirrors the history of countless lives lost. Others report a strange sense of calm, a quiet reflection brought on by the forest's stillness and isolation. In this way, Aokigahara becomes more than just a haunted place. It becomes an experience, a confrontation with mortality, solitude, and the delicate boundary between the natural world and the supernatural. The forest does not act out of malice, but its presence is undeniable, a living testament to both the beauty and darkness inherent in the world. Even the simplest walks through Aokigahara can transform into experiences that defy explanation. A solitary figure glimpsed among the trees may vanish when approached. A whisper carried by the wind may repeat a name or a phrase that feels familiar yet unknown. Shadows move in ways that suggest intelligence or intent. Visitors often leave with questions rather than answers, a lingering unease that persists long after they have stepped back into the sunlit world beyond the trees. For centuries, Aokigahara has held its secrets tightly, a forest of whispers and shadows where the living brush against the unseen. Its legacy is one of awe, sorrow, and fascination. Whether approached with skepticism or belief, no one can deny the power this forest holds, a power that stems from both the lives it has touched and the mysteries that refuse to leave. Every step through the sea of trees is a journey into the unknown, where the line between reality and the supernatural blurs, and where the past never truly releases its hold on the present. Even with its dark reputation, Aokigahara continues to fascinate the world, drawing writers, filmmakers, and curious travelers alike. Each visitor leaves with a story, whether it is one of breathtaking natural beauty or encounters that defy logic. Some speak of walking for hours without hearing a single bird, the silence so complete that it feels alive. Others describe sudden gusts of cold air or fleeting shadows that disappear the moment they turn to look. The forest seems to respond to those who enter, almost as if it possesses an awareness of every footstep, every thought, and every emotion that crosses its boundaries. There are countless accounts of hikers and explorers who felt compelled to leave notes, small mementos, or offerings in hidden corners of the forest. These tokens are sometimes intended to honor the spirits believed to linger here, while other times they serve as markers to guide future visitors or as attempts to leave a piece of oneself behind. It is said that these remnants, though small, carry a weight of memory, a tether between the forest and the countless lives that have intersected with it. Over time, these acts of remembrance have turned Aokigahara into not only a place of haunting, but also a memorial to human emotion in its rawest, most vulnerable form. The forest's silence is often broken by subtle, almost imperceptible sounds. The rustling of leaves in a seemingly windless clearing, a twig snapping underfoot when no one is near, or the faint murmur of voices carried by the breeze. All these experiences contribute to the forest's otherworldly reputation. Some believe these phenomena are manifestations of spirits attempting to communicate or mark their presence, while others view them as psychological responses to the oppressive solitude of such an isolated environment. Regardless of the explanation, anyone who has spent time in Aokigahara will tell you that the forest's atmosphere is unmistakable, dense, tense, and impossible to ignore. In addition to the stories of shadowy figures and unexplained noises, there are tales of personal encounters that feel almost surreal. One man recalled walking along a narrow trail when he noticed footprints appearing alongside his own, though no one else was present. The tracks mirrored his pace and direction perfectly for a short distance before abruptly disappearing. Another visitor recounted a fleeting glimpse of a figure in traditional Japanese garments, standing silently among the trees with an expressionless face before vanishing entirely. Experiences like these are difficult to reconcile with rational explanations, yet they form an essential part of Aokigahara's identity, intertwining with the forest's natural features to create an atmosphere thick with suspense and uncertainty. Aokigahara's historical context adds another layer of eeriness. The forest has long been associated with death, both in the practice of ubasut, where the elderly or infirm were abandoned in remote areas, and in modern times as a location known for suicides. This history, real or mythologized, permeates the forest, giving it a sense of collective memory that many visitors describe as palpable. Walking among the trees, one can almost feel the weight of those who came before, an invisible presence that lingers in the corners of the mind. It is a reminder that forests like Aokigahara are not merely collections of trees, but repositories of human experience, grief, and unresolved emotion. Despite the forest's grim associations, there is a strange allure to its beauty. The dense moss, the towering trees, and the streams that wind silently through the undergrowth create a landscape both haunting and mesmerizing. Visitors often report feeling a sense of reverence and awareness that they are in the presence of something larger than themselves, something that exists beyond the mundane concerns of everyday life. Aokigahara is a place where nature and the supernatural seem to merge, where the boundary between the living and the dead is blurred, and where every footstep carries the weight of countless stories. The forest's influence extends beyond Japan, inspiring curiosity and exploration around the world. Researchers, paranormal investigators, and thrill seekers come to test their courage, to explore its winding paths, and to experience firsthand the unique energy that permeates every corner of the forest. Even those who enter with skepticism often leave with questions, a lingering unease, and a deep respect for a place that resists explanation. The combination of natural beauty, historical weight, and inexplicable phenomena makes Aokigahara a forest unlike any other, a living testament to mystery, sorrow, and fascination. Aokigahara reminds us that some places in the world are more than mere landscapes. They are vessels for human experience, emotion, and the unknown. Every shadow, every whisper, and every fleeting glimpse of movement within the sea of trees tells a story that blends history, folklore, and the inexplicable. To step into this forest is to step into a narrative that has been written over centuries, shaped by countless lives and experiences, a narrative that continues to unfold for anyone daring enough to enter. As the forest stretches endlessly beneath the slopes of Mount Fuji, it stands as a quiet sentinel, holding its secrets and waiting for those who wish to discover them. And for anyone who ventures into Aokigahara, the sea of trees is never truly silent, for it carries the whispers of the past, the echoes of the present, and the haunting promise of stories yet untold. Not far from the city of Cluj-Napoca in Romania, there exists a forest so strange and enigmatic that locals have dubbed it the Bermuda Triangle of Europe. Hoia Forest, or the Hoia Forest, is a place where reality seems to bend, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and where every shadow and rustle of leaves carries the hint of the unknown. From the moment you step beneath its canopy, there is an immediate sense of otherness. The trees, tall and densely packed, twist in ways that defy natural patterns, forming gnarled shapes that seem almost deliberate, as if the forest itself is aware of your presence. The air feels charged, vibrating with an energy that is difficult to explain, a presence that many claim is tangible yet invisible. Locals have long spoken of strange phenomena in Hoia Forest. Unexplained lights flicker between the trees at night, often taking shapes that appear sentient, moving in ways that defy physics. Some visitors report hearing laughter or whispers when no one else is around. There are accounts of hikers stepping into clearings only to experience sudden dizziness, nausea, or the feeling of being pulled in a direction they did not intend to go. Magnetic anomalies are common, with compasses spinning erratically and GPS devices failing, further adding to the disorienting sensation that the forest is alive, a place where the rules of reality are suspended. One of the earliest documented encounters with the forest's strange energy occurred in the 1960s. A local shepherd named Alexandru Baciu reported seeing a glowing, circular object hovering above the forest. He approached it cautiously, only for the light to vanish in an instant, leaving him with a profound sense of fear and wonder. When he returned to recount his experience, officials and journalists began investigating the area, discovering similar reports from other locals, many of whom spoke of unexplained disappearances, sudden illnesses, or the sensation of being watched. These early stories helped cement Hoia Forest's reputation as a place where the ordinary and the supernatural collide. The forest's reputation grew further with reports of ghostly apparitions and unexplained visual phenomena. Some visitors described seeing transparent figures moving silently among the trees, fleeting glimpses of forms that vanish the instant they are observed directly. Others claim to have encountered humanoid shapes with distorted proportions, faces blurred or impossible to make out, leaving witnesses questioning whether what they saw was a spirit, an alien presence, or a trick of the mind amplified by fear and the forest's unnatural atmosphere. These sightings are not isolated. They have been documented by scientists, journalists, and paranormal enthusiasts, each account adding to the forest's aura of mystery and reinforcing the feeling that Hoia Forest exists outside the normal boundaries of perception. Hoia Forest has also earned a reputation for its bizarre natural features. Certain areas are known as fairy circles, perfectly circular clearings where no vegetation grows, sometimes appearing overnight. Trees within these circles often exhibit unusual growth patterns, with twisted trunks and unnaturally bent branches. The scientific community has offered various explanations, from soil composition to fungal activity, yet no theory fully accounts for the sudden appearance of these formations. Locals, on the other hand, speak of them as gateways or focal points for the forest's supernatural energy, places where the veil between worlds is thinner and where the forest's whispers are the loudest. Visitors often describe the emotional impact of Hoia Forest as one of profound unease. The feeling of being watched is almost universal, a sensation that penetrates even the most skeptical minds. Some people experience sudden bouts of panic, dizziness, or an inexplicable sadness, while others feel drawn to explore deeper. Despite the warning signs in their intuition, there are accounts of cameras malfunctioning, batteries draining inexplicably, and recordings capturing unexplained noises or orbs of light that were never visible to the naked eye. These phenomena have been observed consistently enough that they cannot be dismissed as mere coincidence, leaving both scientists and paranormal investigators fascinated and perplexed. The forest's most famous story involves a young boy who wandered into the woods in the 1960s. He returned hours later, frightened and unable to speak coherently. What he recounted after calming down shocked his family and neighbors. He described a circle of strange beings hovering above the ground, their forms indistinct yet undeniably alive. He spoke of being lifted into the air briefly, then set down and guided toward the edge of the forest. Skeptics dismissed the story as a child's imagination, yet the boy's account was eerily consistent with other reports from visitors over the years, suggesting a pattern of encounters that defy rational explanation. Hoia Forest also seems to have a physical effect on those who spend extended time within it. Long hikes or overnight visits have resulted in memory loss, intense fatigue, or feelings of disorientation that persist even after leaving. Some visitors report that photographs taken within the forest reveal strange shadows or light anomalies not seen at the time. Paranormal investigators who camp in Hoia Forest speak of sudden drops in temperature, strange fogs forming unexpectedly, and an overwhelming sense of being surrounded, as though the forest itself is observing every movement. These experiences make it clear that Hoia Forest is not merely a collection of trees, but a place where the boundary between natural and supernatural is blurred. The cultural significance of Hoia Forest cannot be ignored. Romania has a rich history of folklore involving spirits, fairies, and otherworldly entities. Hoia Forest is often woven into these traditions, seen as a locus where these myths come to life. Locals treat the forest with caution and reverence, warning outsiders not to venture too far without respect for its power. The forest's energy is described as capricious, sometimes benign and sometimes malevolent, reinforcing the idea that human presence is not always welcome. Each story, each encounter contributes to the forest's mystique, solidifying its place as one of the most enigmatic and haunted forests in the world. One of the most unsettling aspects of Hoia Forest is its reputation for sudden disappearances and inexplicable phenomena that seem to defy conventional understanding. Many hikers have reported walking along familiar paths only to emerge hours later in locations they did not recognize. Some claim that time behaves strangely within the forest, with minutes feeling like hours and vice versa, adding to the disorienting sense that the forest exists outside the normal constraints of reality. This temporal distortion has been a recurring theme in multiple eyewitness accounts, suggesting that Hoia Forest is more than just a collection of twisted trees and eerie clearings. It is a place where the very fabric of perception is altered. Photographs taken within the forest often reveal anomalies that are difficult to explain. Orbs of light appear in images where no source of illumination is present. Shadows seem to move independently of physical objects, and in some cases, entire figures appear briefly before vanishing from subsequent shots. Paranormal investigators and photographers alike have documented these occurrences, often capturing experiences that the human eye could not perceive in real time. These visual oddities reinforce the forest's reputation as a hotspot for the unexplained, and leave visitors questioning the boundary between what is real and what is unseen. Among the forest's many strange phenomena, one of the most frequently reported involves the sensation of being touched or followed. Visitors often describe a light brushing on their skin, a cold hand along the shoulder, or the feeling that something unseen is mirroring their movements. Some claim to hear their name whispered from all directions at once, only to find the forest empty when they turn to investigate. This pervasive sense of an unseen presence has led many to conclude that Hoia Forest is home to entities that exist on a plane beyond human perception, entities that interact subtly with those who enter its depths. The psychological impact of these experiences is profound. People who spend time alone in Hoia Forest often report feelings of unease, dread, or profound sadness that seem disproportionate to their surroundings. Others speak of intense fascination, a compulsion to explore further despite the fear and disorientation. This duality, both alluring and terrifying, defines much of the forest's reputation. It is a place that tests the mind as much as it challenges the senses. where curiosity and caution must coexist to navigate safely. The forest's power lies not in aggression, but in its ability to provoke a deep, instinctual response, one that is difficult to articulate yet impossible to ignore. Some of the most famous encounters in Hoia Forest involve unexplained lights. Witnesses have described glowing spheres that dart between the trees, sometimes splitting into multiple smaller lights before merging back into a single orb. These lights are said to move with intention, following observers, hovering above them, or disappearing suddenly into the canopy. Scientists have suggested explanations ranging from optical illusions and bioluminescent organisms to reflections of distant artificial light, but none fully account for the consistency and specificity of the sightings. The lights of Hoia Forest remain one of its most enduring and mystifying features, a symbol of the forest's otherworldly nature. In addition to visual and sensory phenomena, some visitors report physical effects that defy explanation. Headaches, nausea, and sudden drops in temperature are commonly described, often occurring in specific areas of the forest. Some hikers have reported minor scratches or burns appearing on their skin without any apparent cause, while others describe a sense of vertigo or a compulsion to leave the forest immediately. These physical sensations contribute to the forest's eerie reputation and reinforce the idea that Hoia Forest is not merely a place of observation, but an environment that interacts with the human body and mind in ways that remain largely unexplained. Hoia Forest's reputation extends beyond personal encounters. It has become a focal point for paranormal research, attracting scientists, investigators, and enthusiasts from around the world. Expeditions to document its anomalies frequently yield compelling yet baffling results. Recordings of voices where no one is present, video evidence of movement that cannot be traced, and measurements of electromagnetic fluctuations that are unusually high compared to other forests. These investigations have only heightened the sense that Hoia Forest operates under a set of rules different from the natural world, a place where both the seen and unseen converge in ways that challenge logic and understanding. The cultural context of Hoia Forest adds another layer of fascination. Romania's rich folklore is filled with stories of spirits, witches, and entities that inhabit the natural world, and Hoia Forest is often described as a nexus for these legends. Locals warn against venturing too deeply, sharing tales of those who became lost or who experienced terrifying visions. Some speak of the forest as a living entity, capable of sensing the intentions of those who enter and responding in kind. Whether viewed as superstition or as reflection of historical encounters, these stories reinforce the forest's status as one of the most mysterious and haunted locations in Europe. Among the most chilling aspects of Hoia Forest are the first-hand stories that defy simple explanation. Visitors recount moments where the forest seems almost alive, reacting to their presence with subtle, unsettling cues. One group of hikers reported venturing into a section of the forest known for strange electromagnetic readings. As they moved through the dense trees, they began hearing footsteps echoing their own, though no one else was nearby. A low hum filled the air, resonating through their chests, and the trees themselves seemed to twist subtly, forming unnatural shapes as if responding to the group's movement. They left shaken, convinced that the forest was aware of them in a way that could not be measured or understood. Photographs taken in the forest often reveal phenomena invisible to the naked eye. Images sometimes capture blurred figures standing among the trees, translucent shapes hovering above the ground, or inexplicable orbs of light. In one particularly famous case, a photographer captured an image of what appeared to be a tall, humanoid figure peering from behind a tree, its proportions distorted, almost alien in appearance. When the photographer returned to the same spot, no trace of the figure remained, leaving only the memory of the photograph as evidence. These unexplained visuals, consistently reported over decades, contribute to Hoia Forest's growing legend as a place where reality itself seems unstable. The forest's effects on the mind are equally compelling. Many who spend time alone in Hoia Forest describe intense feelings of anxiety, confusion, or even euphoria, sensations that can emerge suddenly and without warning. Some report feeling drawn toward certain areas, guided by an invisible force, while others feel strong compulsion to leave. Sleep researchers and psychologists have studied the forest's impact on perception and cognition, noting that isolation, sensory deprivation, and the forest's unique electromagnetic activity could contribute to some experiences. Yet these explanations do not account for the consistency of reports, nor do they fully explain encounters with seemingly intelligent or sentient phenomena. Hoia Forest is also home to what are sometimes called the fairy circle, perfectly circular patches of ground where no vegetation grows. These formations are often surrounded by trees with unusually twisted or bent trunks, creating eerie natural sculptures. Scientists have suggested that soil composition, fungal activity, or even animal behavior could explain the circles, but locals maintain that they are points of concentrated supernatural energy. Visitors who stand within these circles often report strange sensations, lightheadedness, tingling, or an overwhelming sense of being observed. Some claim that the energy in these spaces can be both calming and terrifying, as if the forest itself is testing their presence. Time behaves strangely in Hoia Forest. Numerous accounts describe the sensation of minutes stretching into hours or hours passing in the blink of an eye. Hikers who set out expecting a short excursion sometimes find themselves disoriented, wandering for longer than intended, and unable to retrace their steps. Clocks, compasses, and electronic devices frequently malfunction, adding to the forest's reputation for bending into hours or hours passing in the blink of an eye. Hikers who set out expecting a short excursion sometimes find themselves disoriented, wandering for longer than intended, and unable to retrace their steps. Clocks, compasses, and electronic devices frequently malfunction, adding to the forest's reputation for bending reality. For those who experience these distortions, it is a reminder that Hoia Forest does not adhere to the same rules as the outside world. The very act of entering is a step into a liminal space, a threshold between the known and the unknown. Stories of entities in the forest range from the subtle to the terrifying. Some visitors speak of shadowy figures that appear at the edge of their vision, vanishing the moment they turn to look directly. Others describe humanoid shapes, distorted and featureless, standing silently in clearings or moving slowly among the trees. These beings are sometimes reported in groups, other times alone, and witnesses consistently describe a sensation of intelligence behind their movements, as if they are watching, evaluating, or even interacting with the living in ways that cannot be explained. Despite, or perhaps because of, its unsettling reputation, Hoia Forest continues to draw attention from around the world. Paranormal investigators, journalists, and thrill seekers flock to the forest, hoping to capture evidence or simply to experience its unique energy firsthand. While many leave without incident, the forest ensures that every visitor comes away changed in some way, whether through feelings of awe, unease, or a combination of both. The consensus among those who study Hoia Forest is that it cannot be fully understood or controlled, that it exists as a space where the natural and supernatural intertwine, resisting explanation at every turn. Local folklore reinforces the forest's mystique, Stories of spirits, witches, and otherworldly beings have been passed down for generations, shaping perceptions of the forest long before modern scientific investigations. Residents speak of Hoia Forest as a living entity, one that reacts to human presence and maintains a delicate balance between revealing its secrets and concealing them. There is a sense that the forest preserves its autonomy, demanding respect from those who enter while offering glimpses into realms that lie just beyond the reach of ordinary perception. Hoia Forest remains a place of fascination, mystery, and wonder. Its legends, unexplained phenomena, and tangible energy create an environment where fear and curiosity coexist. It is a forest that challenges the mind, tests perception, and confronts visitors with experiences that linger long after they have left its shadowy depths. For centuries, it has resisted easy categorization, standing as a testament to the unexplained and reminding all who enter that some places on Earth exist at the very edge of reality, where the veil between the ordinary and the extraordinary is astonishingly thin. Even after leaving Hoia Forest, visitors often report lingering sensations that refuse to fade. Some describe an invisible weight pressing upon their shoulders, a subtle but unmistakable reminder that the forest's presence extends beyond its boundaries. Others find themselves replaying the sights and sounds in their minds, the rustling of leaves where no wind blows, the flicker of lights between gnarled trees, the whisper of voices that never existed. These after effects contribute to the forest's enduring reputation, as if it imprints a fragment of itself on everyone who enters. One of the most compelling aspects of Hoia Forest is the consistency of its reports over decades. From shepherds in the 1960s to modern hikers and paranormal investigators, the phenomena experienced by visitors remain remarkably similar. Flickering lights, shadowy figures, sudden dizziness, and disorientation are nearly universal. Even those who enter with skepticism often leave questioning the limits of reality, haunted not just by what they saw, but by the knowledge that the forest has remained unchanged in its mysterious nature for generations. This continuity of experience lends the forest a weight that mere legend alone could never achieve. It is a place where history and the present intermingle, where every visitor becomes part of its ongoing story. Some of the most striking visual reports involve what have been described as portal anomalies. Witnesses claim to see shimmering, semi-transparent areas between the trees, like rippling windows into another world. Stepping near these anomalies often brings a sense of vertigo or vertiginous disorientation, accompanied by a feeling of being observed. Some explorers have attempted to capture these portals on film, and while results vary, the phenomenon has been recorded often enough to suggest it is not simply a trick of the eye. Scientists have speculated about electromagnetic interference, infrasound, or even hallucinatory effects, yet none can fully explain the eerie clarity and consistency of the sightings. Physical sensations within the forest add to its otherworldly reputation. Visitors frequently report sudden temperature drops, the prickling of skin, or the feeling of an invisible presence brushing past them. Some have even described experiencing small, unexplained injuries, scratches, bruises, or burns, without any apparent cause. In addition, prolonged exposure to the forest has been said to affect sleep patterns and mood, leaving individuals fatigued or anxious even after returning to familiar surroundings. These physical and psychological effects reinforce the forest's identity as more than just a natural environment. It is an ecosystem of the supernatural, capable of influencing both mind and body. Local authorities and paranormal experts have taken a particular interest in documenting the forest's anomalies. Scientific expeditions equipped with electromagnetic sensors, infrared cameras, and audio recording devices have reported unusual readings and inexplicable phenomena that defy conventional explanation. While skeptics attribute some occurrences to environmental factors, the consistency and specificity of the evidence, combined with decades of eyewitness accounts, have solidified Hoia Forest's reputation as one of the world's most enigmatic and haunted locations. Folklore continues to play a significant role in shaping the forest's identity. Tales of spirits, witches, and otherworldly beings have circulated for centuries, long before modern paranormal research began. Locals warn that the forest is a sentient space, one that responds to human emotions and intentions. Those who enter with respect may experience the forest's subtle guidance, while those carrying fear, anger, or despair may find themselves disoriented or confronted by inexplicable phenomena. This duality gives Hoia Forest its compelling and unsettling character, a place where danger and beauty coexist in a delicate balance. The forest's uncanny reputation has also influenced global culture, inspiring books, documentaries, and investigative programs. Hoia Forest has become a symbol of the unknown, a location where curiosity meets caution, and where every encounter, whether mundane or extraordinary, reinforces the idea that some places on Earth are inextricably tied to the supernatural. Each story, photograph, and investigation contributes to the legend, ensuring that the forest's mysteries continue to captivate and terrify audiences worldwide. What sets Hoia Forest apart is not just its strange phenomena, but its enduring ability to challenge perception. Time, space, and human understanding seem to warp beneath its canopy, creating an environment that is both fascinating and unnerving. Visitors leave changed, whether through awe, fear, or a combination of both, carrying with them memories that are impossible to fully explain. For those who dare to return, the forest promises new experiences, new anomalies, and the same relentless sense that it is alive, watching, and always just beyond the realm of comprehension. Hoia Forest is, in many ways, a living paradox. Its twisted trees and seemingly sentient energies evoke both dread and wonder. It is at once a natural sanctuary and a site of inexplicable phenomena, a place where cultural folklore, historical accounts, and modern investigations converge. The forest challenges every attempt to define it, leaving only stories, memories, and a lingering sense that some forces in the world cannot be tamed, understood, or ignored. And as night falls over Hoia Forest, the whispers in the trees grow louder, the lights flicker with uncanny intelligence, and the forest waits, patient and eternal, for the next visitor to step into its depths and become part of its story. Across the vast expanse of North America, from the misty forests of the Pacific Northwest to the dense woodlands of the East Coast, there exists a collection of haunted woods whose reputations stretch far beyond their local regions. These forests are a blend of natural beauty and unsettling mystery, where the line between reality and the supernatural seems to blur. In these woods, legends of ghosts, spirits, and unexplainable phenomena abound, drawing in hikers, thrill seekers, and paranormal investigators alike. Among the most infamous are the forests of the Pacific Northwest, such as Oregon's Mount Hood Wilderness and Washington's Olympic National Park, as well as the legendary Devil's Tramping Ground in North Carolina, a place steeped in folklore and strange occurrences. The forests of North America are unique in their combination of vast, untamed wilderness and centuries of human history. These lands have seen countless lives pass through them, from indigenous communities to early settlers, each leaving traces of experience, belief, and memory that are said to linger among the trees. Native American legends often describe spirits inhabiting the forests, guardians of sacred spaces or omens of danger. These stories continue to inform modern perceptions of haunted woods, creating a layered understanding of the forest as both a place of life and a domain of spirits. One of the most frequently reported phenomena in North American haunted woods involves ghostly apparitions that appear along well-trodden paths. Hikers have described encountering pale figures dressed in historical clothing, sometimes performing mundane tasks as if oblivious to the living observer. These figures vanish when approached, leaving behind an eerie silence and an unsettling feeling that the forest itself is concealing layers of history. In some cases, witnesses have reported seeing entire ghostly encampments with tents and fires appearing momentarily before fading into the shadows of the trees. The persistence of these accounts across different forests suggests that there is something deeply resonant about these environments, a shared energy that transcends geography. In addition to apparitions, strange lights and orbs are commonly reported throughout North American haunted woods. In Oregon, hikers near the Columbia River Gorge have observed glowing spheres drifting through the trees, often moving in deliberate patterns that suggest intelligence. Similarly, in Appalachian forests, mysterious lights are said to hover over clearings at night, sometimes appearing to follow travelers before vanishing without explanation. These lights are often accompanied by inexplicable sounds, low hums, whispers, or the rustling of leaves when there is no wind, creating an immersive experience that affects both mind and body. Some forests are known for disorienting trails where hikers suddenly find themselves lost, despite familiar surroundings. The Pacific Northwest, with its thick moss and towering evergreens, is particularly notorious for this. People report walking for hours along paths they thought they knew, only to arrive back at their starting point without realizing how it happened. Compasses can fail, GPS devices lose signal, and the natural landscape seems to shift subtly, as though rearranging itself to confuse those who enter. This phenomenon has led many to believe that certain areas of North America's haunted woods are subtly sentient, responding to the presence of humans in ways that challenge logic and perception. Among the most famous haunted forests is Devil's Tramping Ground in North Carolina. Unlike other wooded areas, this site is a barren circle in the middle of a dense forest, roughly 40 feet in diameter, where nothing grows. Legend claims that anything left in the circle overnight will be mysteriously moved by morning, as if unseen forces patrol the area. Campers and locals have reported hearing strange noises, footsteps, and disembodied voices, further cementing the site's reputation as a locus of supernatural activity. Scientists and skeptics have suggested soil composition or animal activity as explanations, but the folklore surrounding the tramping ground and its persistent oddities continue to attract curious visitors from around the world. Forests in New England also harbor their share of spectral legends. Areas like the Pine Barrens in New Jersey are famous for sightings of the Jersey Devil, a creature described as a hybrid of human and animal, often accompanied by chilling howls at night. These forests are thick with undergrowth, and the canopy can block out most natural light, creating an atmosphere ripe for both fear and imagination. Hikers frequently report sudden drops in temperature, disorientation, and the sensation of being watched, all of which contribute to the forest's legendary status as haunted territory. The psychological impact of these forests cannot be overstated. Even seasoned hikers and researchers find themselves unnerved by the combination of isolation, natural beauty, and inexplicable phenomena. Many report heightened senses, acute awareness of sounds and movement, and sudden emotional shifts when venturing into these haunted woods. There is a sense that the forest is alive, responding to presence, intention, and even fear. Stories of shadows flitting just out of view, whispers that seem to come from every direction, and the occasional brush of unseen hands are common across multiple locations, creating a shared mythology that spans the continent. Some witnesses describe experiences that defy logic entirely. Campers in remote northern forests have recounted waking to find their tents surrounded by unidentifiable footprints, only to discover that the tracks lead in impossible directions or disappear entirely. Others speak of hearing children laughing in areas where no other humans are present, or seeing fleeting figures dart between trees, leaving no trace. These accounts are strikingly similar across different forests, suggesting a pattern of supernatural or psychological interaction that is difficult to attribute to coincidence alone. The forests of North America are also rich with accounts of auditory phenomena that defy explanation. Many visitors describe hearing footsteps, whispers, or conversations that seem to come from every direction, yet when they stop to investigate, the woods are silent. In some cases, these sounds are accompanied by sudden chills, the sensation of invisible breath on the skin, or an inexplicable sense of dread. Hikers in the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest report hearing their names called in voices that sound human, but carry an unnatural echo, leaving them frozen in place until the sound fades. Similar experiences have been documented in the dark undergrowth of the Appalachian Mountains, where hikers hear disembodied laughter or the creaking of unseen structures. These auditory anomalies create an immersive environment, one in which the boundary between the natural and supernatural becomes almost imperceptible. Another frequently reported phenomenon involves the sudden appearance of mist or fog in localized areas. These clouds often form rapidly, obscuring vision and creating an eerie, otherworldly atmosphere. Witnesses in New England and the Pacific Northwest have described walking along familiar trails only to find themselves enveloped in a dense, unnatural fog that seems to move with intention. Within these mists, figures or lights sometimes appear, vanishing moments later, adding to the sense that the forest itself is a living entity capable of manipulating both perception and reality. Scientists have attempted to explain these occurrences through meteorological conditions, yet the suddenness, persistence, and localized nature of the mist often elude rational explanation. North American haunted forests are also associated with strange physical sensations that visitors cannot easily attribute to natural causes. Sudden dizziness, nausea, headaches, and feelings of pressure or weight are commonly reported, often occurring without warning. Some explorers have described a tingling sensation on the skin, as if invisible hands are brushing against them, or an inexplicable sense of being guided along certain paths while avoiding others. These experiences can last for hours, sometimes even days after leaving the forest, leaving a lasting impression and contributing to the lore of these haunted landscapes. In some of the continent's most infamous forests, people report encounters with shadow beings or humanoid figures that appear and disappear without warning. These entities are often described as tall, featureless silhouettes, sometimes moving with purpose and sometimes lingering silently in the periphery of vision. Witnesses frequently experience a sense of intelligence behind these figures, as though they are observing, judging, or interacting with those who enter the woods. In the Pacific Northwest, hikers have recounted seeing dark, elongated figures step silently among the trees before vanishing completely. Similarly, in the forests of New England, campers report fleeting glimpses of spectral figures near abandoned cabins or old homesteads, leaving them shaken and uncertain of what they saw. Many of these forests also hold locations where strange anomalies are concentrated, sometimes referred to as hotspots. One example is the Devil's Tramping Ground, where objects are inexplicably moved overnight. Another is the Pine Barrens, where the Jersey Devil is said to roam, and travelers experience sudden and disorienting shifts in direction or perception. These hotspots often share characteristics such as unusual vegetation, anomalous electromagnetic readings, or a persistent feeling of being watched. Scientists, folklorists, and paranormal investigators have long sought to study these areas, documenting patterns of reports that suggest the presence of forces beyond conventional understanding. The cultural and historical context of North American haunted forests enhances their enigmatic reputation. Native American traditions frequently describe spirits inhabiting the woods, guiding travelers, protecting sacred sites, or delivering warnings. Later, settlers added layers of folklore, with stories of lost miners, murdered travelers, and spectral hunters blending into the natural environment. Modern legends, such as the tales of the Jersey Devil, the Dark Watchers of California, and the ghosts of logging camps in Oregon, continue to emerge, creating a rich tapestry of supernatural narrative across the continent. Psychologically, the isolation and vastness of these forests amplify the impact of encounters. The dense canopy, shifting light, and quiet, interspersed with sudden, unexplained sounds, create an environment that heightens awareness and fear. Visitors often describe a tension between curiosity and caution, compelled to explore further despite a deep-seated instinct to leave. This interplay between attraction and fear is a recurring theme in the experiences of those who enter haunted North American woods, reinforcing the forest's dual nature as both beautiful and dangerous, familiar and alien. Even with growing urbanization and the spread of modern technology, these forests maintain their mysterious qualities. Trails may be well mapped, GPS devices accessible, and park rangers nearby, yet the core experiences, the strange lights, unexplained sounds, shadow figures, and disorienting phenomena persist. This suggests that the haunting is not merely a product of fear or isolation, but something inherent to the forests themselves, a presence that has existed long before the arrival of modern society and continues to assert itself in subtle, undeniable ways. Among the most storied regions of North American haunted forests is the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, an area steeped in centuries of legend. Here, the infamous Jersey Devil is said to roam, described as a creature with the body of a kangaroo, the head of a goat, bat-like wings, and a chilling scream that echoes through the trees at night. Sightings of this entity span generations, with reports of glowing eyes, fleeting shapes, and sudden, untraceable noises that terrify both locals and visitors. Campers and hikers often report getting lost despite following well-marked trails, feeling watched, or sensing movement just beyond their vision. The forest's dense undergrowth and shifting fog create an environment that blurs the line between reality and imagination, making each encounter feel profoundly personal and inexplicably real. In the Pacific Northwest, forests around Mount Hood and the Olympic National Park are equally notorious. Witnesses recount seeing shadowy figures moving silently among the trees or standing motionless in the periphery of their vision. Some hikers report encountering entire groups of these beings, while others describe a single figure that seems to follow them through miles of wilderness. Strange lights, sometimes in the form of glowing orbs or flickering streaks, have been seen darting between trees or hovering in clearings. The combination of visual, auditory, and sensory anomalies makes these forests particularly immersive, leaving a lasting impression on anyone who ventures too far after dark. Other forests, such as the deep woodlands of the Appalachian Mountains, hold legends of haunted hollows, where travelers have experienced disorienting phenomena. People describe hearing their own footsteps echoing behind them, even when no one else is present. Seeing fog rise from the ground in unnatural patterns, or suddenly losing sense of direction despite knowing the terrain. In some cases, hikers report being compelled to follow certain paths, only to emerge hours later at locations that are unfamiliar. These stories emphasize the forest's ability to manipulate perception, creating a sense that time and space are fluid, and that the woods themselves are aware of intruders. Many visitors to these haunted forests recount encounters with inexplicable auditory phenomena. The sound of whispers, often indistinct but eerily human, seems to come from all directions at once. Some describe hearing conversations in languages they do not understand, while others report the sensation of footsteps following closely behind, only to find no one there. Even more unsettling are accounts of laughter, childlike, echoing, and sometimes sorrowful, that appears in areas where no children are present. These auditory experiences often evoke intense emotional responses, ranging from fascination to deep fear, reinforcing the idea that the forests are alive with unseen entities. Photographs and recordings taken in these woods often yield anomalies that cannot be explained by conventional means, shadows that do not sense that time and space are fluid, and that the woods themselves are aware of intruders. Many visitors to these haunted forests recount encounters with inexplicable auditory phenomena. The sound of whispers, often indistinct but eerily human, seems to come from all directions at once. Some describe hearing conversations in languages they do not understand, while others report the sensation of footsteps following closely behind, only to find no one there. Even more unsettling are accounts of laughter, childlike, echoing, and sometimes sorrowful, that appears in areas where no children are present. These auditory experiences often evoke intense emotional responses, ranging from fascination to deep fear, reinforcing the idea that the forests are alive with unseen entities. Photographs and recordings taken in these woods often yield anomalies that cannot be explained by conventional means, shadows that do not align with objects, glowing orbs, and fleeting figures captured on camera but not visible to the naked eye are reported with surprising consistency. In one documented case in Oregon, a group of hikers photographed a clearing and later discovered a translucent humanoid figure standing at the edge of the frame. Returning to the site, no evidence of the figure remained, leaving only the photograph as proof. Similar accounts from the Appalachian and New England forests further demonstrate that these phenomena are not isolated, but part of a larger pattern of unexplained occurrences across North America. Some haunted forests feature natural landmarks that seem to amplify paranormal activity. The Devil's Tramping Ground, a circular barren patch in North Carolina, is said to repel vegetation and rearrange objects left overnight. In other areas, ancient trees with twisted branches form shapes resembling human or animal figures, sometimes interpreted as spirits frozen in time. Visitors often report strong emotional reactions to these areas, feeling a combination of awe, fear, and reverence, as if encountering forces beyond human understanding. These natural oddities enhance the forest's mystique and provide tangible focal points for encounters with the unexplained. The interplay between folklore and first-hand experience creates a unique atmosphere in these forests. Native American stories often describe spirits, guardians, and otherworldly beings inhabiting the woods, while colonial and modern legends layer additional tales of lost travelers, mysterious lights, and ghostly figures. Contemporary reports echo these ancient narratives, suggesting that the energy of the forest preserves memory, history, and mystery simultaneously. Visitors often report feeling a connection to past events or long-gone inhabitants, as if the forest retains echoes of human experience. Psychological and emotional responses to these haunted woods are a key part of their enduring allure. Many report heightened awareness, vivid imagination, and sudden emotional shifts while in the forest. Even those who approach with skepticism describe moments of disorientation, anxiety, or awe, experiencing the uncanny as a visceral, almost physical phenomenon. This interplay between fear and fascination keeps explorers returning to these locations, drawn by curiosity and the promise of encountering the unknown firsthand. Ultimately, the enchanted and cursed woods of North America are places where the natural and supernatural coexist in extraordinary ways. They are ecosystems of mystery, history, and human perception, where shadows move with purpose, lights flicker without source, and the forest itself seems alive. Each account, whether of ghostly figures, unexplained lights, or auditory phenomena, adds to the rich tapestry of legend and experience, ensuring that these forests remain timeless enigmas. For anyone who ventures into these woods, the encounters are unforgettable, leaving a lasting sense that the ordinary rules of reality do not fully apply, and that the spirits of the past continue to walk among the living. Some of the most intriguing aspects of North America's haunted forests involve the reports of multiple phenomena occurring simultaneously. Visitors often describe seeing lights in the distance while hearing unidentifiable whispers and feeling sudden drops in temperature. These overlapping experiences suggest a complexity that goes beyond simple misperception or natural causes. For example, in Oregon, hikers recount walking through dense fog when small, glowing orbs suddenly appear, moving with deliberate patterns, while unseen figures seem to observe from the shadows. Such layered encounters create an immersive, almost cinematic experience, blending visual, auditory, and tactile anomalies into a single, unforgettable event. Certain trees and natural formations appear to act as focal points for paranormal activity. Twisted branches, hollow trunks, and moss-covered stones are often described as housing spirits or energies. Visitors have reported shadows moving across these features independently of wind or light, giving the impression that the forest itself is watching. In some cases, people claim to see faces or figures emerge briefly from knots in tree trunks or patterns in the bark. These encounters reinforce the idea that the forests are not passive landscapes, but active environments where history, memory, and energy converge. Some North American forests have developed reputations as zones of influence, areas where multiple visitors independently experience similar phenomena. For instance, in the Pine Barrens, not only are sightings of the Jersey Devil common, but people often report disorientation, strange animal behavior, and recurring auditory experiences within the same locations. In the Appalachian Mountains, certain hollows are known for repeated reports of shadow figures, inexplicable sounds, and sudden environmental changes. These zones create a sense of shared experience, where multiple layers of mystery build upon one another, adding depth and credibility to the legends that surround these forests. In addition to individual experiences, modern investigations have attempted to quantify the forest's unusual characteristics. Paranormal researchers often use electromagnetic field detectors, infrared cameras, and audio recorders to capture evidence of anomalies. While skeptics argue that natural explanations, such as wildlife, atmospheric conditions, or magnetic variations, account for some phenomena, many recorded events defy simple explanation. Ghostly voices captured on audio recordings, images of fleeting humanoid shapes, and unexplained light sources have been documented consistently, creating a corpus of evidence that fuels continued fascination. The emotional impact of these forests is profound. Even brief visits can leave an indelible mark on those who enter. Fear, awe, and curiosity intermingle, sometimes producing a sense of connection to forces larger than oneself. Some visitors report feelings of being guided, or a heightened awareness that seems to extend beyond the natural senses. Others speak of a lingering tension after leaving the forest, a reminder that the wood's influence does not end at the edge of the trees. In this way, North America's haunted forests serve not only as locations of mystery, but also as spaces that evoke deep psychological and emotional responses. Certain legends have persisted for centuries, often tied to real historical events. In the Pine Barrens, stories of settlers encountering strange creatures or disappearing mysteriously are intertwined with documented accounts of lost travelers. In Oregon, logging camps abandoned decades ago have produced reports of ghostly figures performing repetitive tasks, as if replaying moments from the past. These intersections of history and legend suggest that the forest may act as repositories of memory, preserving fragments of human experience in ways that are perceptible to the living. Visitors often describe a cyclical pattern in their experiences. Fear and curiosity draw them in, encounters intensify, and upon leaving, they carry the forest presence with them, sometimes for years. Recurring dreams, a sense of being watched, or spontaneous recollections of auditory or visual anomalies are reported long after departure. This persistence of memory and sensation reinforces the forest's identity as a living, interactive space where past, present, and unknown forces converge. Across North America, whether in dense evergreens, misty hollows, or barren clearings, haunted forests share common elements: disorient trails, shadow figures, unexplained lights, auditory anomalies, and a strong psychological impact on those who enter. These shared characteristics create a recognizable pattern of haunted environments, suggesting that the forests, while geographically disparate, may function in similar ways to interact with human perception and consciousness. Ultimately, the haunted forests of North America are not simply collections of scary stories. They are immersive, dynamic environments where natural beauty and supernatural mystery coexist. Whether it is the Pine Barrens with its legendary Jersey Devil, the foggy landscapes of the Pacific Northwest, or the eerie hollows of the Appalachian Mountains, each forest possesses its own identity while sharing threads of the unexplained. Visitors leave with memories that are vivid, unsettling, and unforgettable, carrying stories that will, in turn, be passed down, keeping the forest alive in both the physical and cultural imagination. These forests remind us that nature itself can be enigmatic, that isolation and vastness can amplify human perception, and that some places resist complete understanding. They are landscapes where folklore, history, and personal experience converge, creating an enduring fascination that ensures these haunted woods remain among the most mysterious corners of North America. In their shadows, the boundary between the known and unknown blurs, and the stories, sightings, and sensations experienced within them continue to captivate anyone daring enough to venture into their depths. When we examine haunted forests across the globe, from the dense, quiet expanse of Aokigahara in Japan to the twisting, enigmatic Hoia Forest in Romania and the shadowed woods of North America, a fascinating pattern begins to emerge. While separated by continents, cultures, and centuries, these forests share phenomena that suggest a deeper, almost universal connection between certain environments and human perception of the supernatural. Visitors consistently report experiences that transcend local folklore, blending the eerie with the inexplicable, and leaving behind a sense that some forests are intrinsically attuned to the unseen. One of the most striking commonalities is the presence of disorienting spaces. In Aokigahara, Dense growth and intricate lava formations make navigation nearly impossible without a guide, while Hoia Forest is infamous for paths that seem to shift or loop back unexpectedly. North American haunted woods from the Pacific Northwest to the Appalachian Mountains feature trails that mislead even seasoned hikers, with compasses faltering and familiar landmarks suddenly disappearing. In each case, the forest itself seems to resist linear movement, creating a liminal space where the rules of ordinary navigation no longer apply. This disorientation heightens vulnerability and awareness, amplifying every sound, shadow, or flicker of light, and setting the stage for experiences that challenge the boundaries of perception. Light phenomena also appear repeatedly across continents. Visitors to Hoia Forest and the Pine Barrens alike describe floating orbs, flickering glows, and streaks of light that move with purpose rather than randomly. In Aokigahara, some report seeing ethereal glimmers among the trees, often accompanied by sudden drops in temperature or subtle changes in the surrounding air. These lights seem to defy ordinary physics, appearing and disappearing in patterns that suggest intelligence, or at least an influence beyond the natural. The recurrence of such visual anomalies across distant forests raises questions about whether these are purely psychological effects amplified by isolation and expectation, or manifestations of something inherent to these haunted landscapes. Auditory phenomena are similarly universal. Whispers, footsteps, distant voices, and unidentifiable sounds are reported across Aokigahara, Hoia Forest, and North American woods. Often the sounds appear to follow the visitor, creating a dissonant sense of movement within the forest. In some cases, the whispers take on a familiar tone, addressing the listener directly, while in others the noises are entirely alien, a low hum, a distant thud, or laughter echoing where no one could possibly be present. Researchers suggest that a combination of acoustics, wind, and human psychology could produce some auditory anomalies, but the persistence, consistency, and emotional impact of these reports hint at something more complex than environmental effects alone. Physical sensations, too, are commonly reported in haunted forests worldwide. Sudden chills, pressure on the chest, tingling on the skin, and vertigo occur in Aokigahara, Hoia Forest, and North American woods. Visitors often describe the feeling of unseen eyes upon them, of being guided, or even of being touched by invisible forces. These bodily experiences enhance the immersive nature of the encounters, making each visit memorable and often unnerving. The repeated presence of these phenomena across distinct environments and cultures suggests that haunted forests are spaces where perception, emotion, and the physical senses are heightened in unusual ways. Shadowy figures appear consistently in reports from different continents. In Hoia Forest, pale humanoid silhouettes and elongated shapes are frequently sighted along paths and clearings. In North America, shadow figures and featureless silhouettes seem to follow or observe hikers, vanishing when approached. Even in Aokigahara, some visitors have reported fleeting glimpses of figures at the edge of vision, often disappearing upon direct attention. These apparitions are rarely aggressive, but their presence conveys intelligence, awareness, and sometimes an uncanny familiarity, reinforcing the sense that these forests are inhabited by forces that operate according to unknown laws. A final unifying theme is the profound psychological impact these forests have on those who enter. Across cultures and continents, visitors report heightened awareness, acute emotional responses, and lingering sensations long after leaving. Feelings of awe, fear, melancholy, or even euphoria recur, often intertwined with a sense of connection to history, memory, or the unknown. These forests challenge the boundaries of ordinary experience, making each encounter deeply personal while simultaneously tying it to a collective, almost archetypal human response to wilderness, isolation, and the unseen. Another striking similarity among haunted forests worldwide is the prevalence of localized hotspots, where activity appears to be concentrated. In Hoia Forest, specific clearings and clusters of twisted trees are associated with higher reports of lights, apparitions, and sudden disorientation. In Aokigahara, certain lava caves and dense sections of the forest are consistently linked to eerie experiences, including sudden feelings of despair or encounters with fleeting figures. North American forests, from the pine barrens to Appalachian hollows, also feature areas where strange phenomena, shadow figures, ghostly lights, and inexplicable sounds occur with greater frequency. These hotspots suggest that the forests themselves may possess zones of intensified energy or memory, where human perception and the unknown intersect most intensely. The role of history and human activity in shaping these haunted spaces cannot be overstated. Many haunted forests were the sites of past tragedy, abandonment, or violence, which may contribute to their eerie reputations. Aokigahara, long associated with death and despair, has drawn countless visitors for centuries, creating a lingering cultural and emotional imprint. Hoia Forest's bizarre vegetation patterns and documented disappearances have contributed to local folklore, reinforcing its identity as a mysterious and dangerous place. North American forests, including logging camps, battlefields, and areas of early settlement, carry their own historical weight, which seems to echo in the experiences of those who wander there. The interweaving of human history and natural wilderness appears to amplify both the psychological and the unexplained phenomena that visitors encounter. Time and perception also behave strangely in these forests. Many witnesses report losing track of hours, finding that familiar landmarks appear in unexpected places or experiencing moments of déjà vu. In Hoia Forest, paths often seem to loop or shift, while in Aokigahara, dense foliage and uneven terrain can distort distances, creating a sense of endless wandering. In North America, hikers in the Pacific Northwest or Appalachian Mountains have described entering a section of forest that feels familiar only to realize later they are far from the path they intended to follow. This manipulation of spatial and temporal awareness contributes to the haunting atmosphere and reinforces the notion that these woods exist in a liminal space between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Flora and fauna also play a subtle yet significant role in these shared phenomena. Twisted trees, moss-covered stones, and dense undergrowth create natural shapes and shadows that seem to move and shift as the observer's perspective changes. Sounds of animals, wind, or falling branches often mimic footsteps, whispers, or distant voices, intensifying the forest's uncanny atmosphere. In Aokigahara, the rustle of leaves over lava formations can create a haunting resonance, while in Hoia Forest, distorted shapes of trees and plants give the impression of hidden figures. North American forests, with their dense canopies and variable light, produce similar effects, encouraging the mind to detect patterns, faces, and movements even where none exist. These natural features, combined with human expectation and emotion, enhance the sense of interaction with an intelligent, responsive environment. Now, the recurring presence of shadow figures and ghostly apparitions across continents raises questions about the universality of human perception in such environments. While the shapes and behaviors vary slightly depending on local culture and folklore, the underlying experience, a fleeting, often humanoid presence that eludes direct observation, remains consistent. Some researchers suggest that these phenomena may be linked to the human brain's pattern recognition system, which interprets ambiguous stimuli in ways that can create the impression of figures or entities. Others argue that certain forests contain energies or dimensions that are perceptible only under specific conditions, producing experiences that are both subjective and rooted in an external reality. Finally, the emotional and psychological impact of these forests is a unifying factor. Across Japan, Romania, and North America, visitors consistently report heightened awareness, acute intuition, and emotional responses that range from awe to fear. Even skeptics often leave with an altered sense of reality, aware of having encountered something that defies easy explanation. The forests seem to demand attention and respect, creating an immersive experience in which perception, memory, and emotion are inseparable from the environment itself. This shared human response underscores the universality of haunted forests, suggesting that while the trees, legends, and spirits may differ, the underlying experience resonates across cultures and continents. The recurring presence of strange lights, shadow figures, and disorienting paths across distant forests points to a pattern that transcends geography and culture. It suggests that haunted forests may share underlying mechanisms or qualities that trigger similar human experiences, regardless of location. In many accounts, the lights appear purposeful, moving along paths or hovering in clearings, sometimes interacting subtly with those who encounter them. Shadow figures often mimic human gestures or follow movement in ways that create a profound sense of being observed, yet they vanish when approached directly. These consistencies hint at the possibility that haunted forests act as natural amplifiers of perception, intensifying our awareness and sensitivity to subtle environmental and psychological cues. In addition to these visual and spatial phenomena, visitors frequently report changes in time perception and memory. Hours can pass unnoticed, while familiar trails seem to stretch or contract unnaturally. Some travelers describe revisiting a clearing or tree they had seen only moments before, only to realize they are miles from their previous position. In Hoia Forest, some areas are notorious for time loops, where the same path appears endlessly, trapping hikers in a disorient cycle. In Aokigahara, the dense vegetation and uniform terrain create a similar effect, where landmarks can suddenly feel unfamiliar, contributing to a profound sense of unease. North American forests replicate this pattern, particularly in isolated wilderness areas where human markers are scarce. These distortions of time and space seem to be a defining characteristic of haunted forests worldwide, intensifying both fear and fascination. Another shared phenomenon is the sense of emotional residue or lingering energy. Across these forests, visitors often describe feeling emotions that are not their own, waves of sadness, fear, or even anger that seem to emanate from the environment itself. In Aokigahara, the overwhelming aura of despair has been noted repeatedly by researchers and travelers, while Hoia Forest has a reputation for producing sudden anxiety or discomfort in otherwise calm visitors. North American haunted forests, particularly the Pine Barrens and Appalachian Hollows, evoke similar feelings of unease or tension, even among those who approach skeptically. This collective emotional experience suggests that haunted forests may act as repositories for human experience, memory, or energy, creating an invisible yet tangible imprint that affects all who enter. The role of storytelling and cultural context further reinforces these shared experiences. Legends, local tales, and documented encounters prime visitors to expect the supernatural, heightening perception and interpretation of ambiguous stimuli. In Japan, centuries of folklore surrounding Aokigahara influence how people interpret the forest's silence, shadows, and pathways. In Romania, Hoia Forest's reputation for paranormal phenomena colors visitor expectations, often leading to heightened awareness of natural anomalies. In North America, tales of the Jersey Devil, shadow figures, or haunted hollows create a similar feedback loop, where cultural knowledge amplifies and validates personal experiences. This interplay between folklore and first-hand encounters blurs the line between myth and reality, making each forest both a site of historical narrative and personal exploration. The universality of these phenomena raises compelling questions about human consciousness and its interaction with specific environments. Are haunted forests inherently predisposed to elicit supernatural experiences, or do they act as catalysts that bring latent fears and perceptions to the surface? In many cases, visitors report encounters that are strikingly similar despite vast differences in location, culture, and individual background. This convergence of experience hints at a deeper, possibly archetypal quality to haunted forests, suggesting that certain natural spaces hold a power to influence human perception and emotion in ways that are consistent across time and place. Even the flora and geography of these forests appear to play a subtle yet significant role in shaping experiences. Twisted trees, uneven terrain, dense undergrowth, and fog or mist create optical illusions, shadows, and disorienting pathways that the mind instinctively interprets as signs of life or movement. Animal sounds, falling branches, and rustling leaves can mimic footsteps, whispers, or distant voices, while variations hold a power to influence human perception and emotion in ways that are consistent across time and place. Even the flora and geography of these forests appear to play a subtle yet significant role in shaping experiences. Twisted trees, uneven terrain, dense undergrowth, and fog or mist create optical illusions, shadows, and disorienting pathways that the mind instinctively interprets as signs of life or movement. Animal sounds, falling branches, and rustling leaves can mimic footsteps, whispers, or distant voices, while variations in temperature and wind contribute to a sense of physical presence. Across Aokigahara, Hoia Forest, and North America, these environmental factors combine with psychological and cultural expectations, producing encounters that feel both personal and profoundly inexplicable. The shared patterns across haunted forests suggest that these places occupy a liminal space where perception, emotion, and history converge. They are environments that test the boundaries of human awareness, amplifying subtle stimuli and transforming ordinary elements into experiences of wonder, fear, or awe. Whether through visual anomalies, disorienting paths, shadowy figures, auditory phenomena, or lingering emotional energy, haunted forests communicate with those who enter, offering encounters that are both unique and universally recognizable. The final aspect tying haunted forests across the globe together is the interplay of memory, history, and human narrative. In many cases, these forests are not only sites of natural beauty, but also spaces marked by human tragedy, cultural significance, or repeated visitation. Aokigahara, with its centuries-long association with death, carries a palpable emotional weight that influences every visitor. Hoia Forest, shrouded in stories of disappearances, strange vegetation, and unexplained phenomena, evokes curiosity and apprehension simultaneously. North American haunted forests, from the Pine Barrens to Appalachian hollows, are interwoven with legends of settlers, miners, and travelers, layering historical events onto the natural environment. These histories do not simply fade, they seem to linger in subtle ways, amplifying the mysterious and uncanny qualities of the woods. This persistence of history and energy gives rise to a unique temporal experience within haunted forests. Visitors often report encountering elements from the past, whether in visions, auditory phenomena, or emotional impressions that feel anchored in previous events. In Aokigahara, some hikers describe fleeting figures that resemble previous generations or even the spirits of those who have passed. Hoia Forest is famous for accounts of apparitions or anomalies that seem to replay moments from long ago. In North America, abandoned logging camps, battlefields, and old homesteads within forested areas are reported to exude a sense of residual presence, as if the environment itself remembers and occasionally projects these past experiences into the present. Another unifying phenomenon is the transformative effect these forests have on the individual. Entering a haunted forest is rarely a neutral experience. People often describe a heightened awareness, sharpened senses, and an uncanny sense of connection to the natural and the supernatural. Time seems elastic, emotions become intensified, and ordinary sensory perceptions, sight, sound, and touch, can acquire unusual qualities. In Hoia Forest, a momentary glance into the undergrowth may reveal shapes that vanish upon focus, leaving an impression that persists long after the visitor has left. Aokigahara's dense lava terrain, coupled with the forest's historical weight, produces an environment in which every shadow or sound is laden with potential meaning. North American forests, with their fog, canopy density, and varied terrain, similarly evoke intense sensory and emotional responses, leaving lasting impressions that often shape personal narratives about the forest. Shared symbolism also emerges across these forests. Shadow figures, glowing orbs, and disoriented spaces appear consistently, suggesting archetypal patterns in human consciousness. The presence of figures that are vaguely humanoid yet ephemeral may reflect a universal human tendency to recognize agency and intention in ambiguous stimuli. Light anomalies, glowing, flickering, or moving independently, may represent a global motif in which the forest communicates through subtle visual cues. Even the emotional impact, feelings of awe, fear, sadness, or anticipation, recurs regardless of cultural background or location, pointing to a shared human response to environments that blend isolation, history, and mystery. The phenomenon of shared experience is also amplified by communication and storytelling. Tales of haunted forests, whether in local folklore, travel guides, or online accounts, shape how newcomers perceive and interact with the environment. Knowledge of previous encounters can heighten sensitivity to subtle stimuli, creating a feedback loop in which expectation and perception reinforce each other. In Hoia Forest, visitors are primed to look for anomalies, often noticing subtle movements or lights that they might otherwise overlook. In Aokigahara, the forest's tragic reputation affects the emotional state of visitors, influencing interpretation of natural phenomena as supernatural. In North America, legends of the Jersey Devil or haunted hollows similarly create anticipatory tension that shapes experience. Despite these cultural differences, the similarities are striking. Haunted forests across the world share key features: disorienting terrain, unusual light and sound phenomena, shadowy figures, lingering emotional energy, historical resonance, and profound psychological impact. These recurring elements suggest that haunted forests are not merely products of folklore or imagination, but may reflect underlying principles of perception, environment, and human consciousness interacting in extraordinary ways. The universality of these patterns implies that certain environments, dense, isolated, and historically significant forests, naturally give rise to experiences that transcend cultural context. Ultimately, the patterns observed in haunted forests highlight an enduring human fascination with the unknown. These woods are spaces where nature, history, and perception converge to create environments that are simultaneously beautiful, dangerous, and profoundly mysterious. Whether wandering the Sea of Trees in Japan, stepping into the enigmatic Hoia Forest, or exploring shadowed North American woodlands, visitors are confronted with phenomena that challenge their understanding of reality, evoke deep emotional responses, and invite reflection on the thin boundary between the natural and the supernatural. Haunted forests, it seems, are universal laboratories of the uncanny, places where human consciousness and the unseen intersect in ways that are at once terrifying, awe-inspiring, and unforgettable. Haunted forests have always held a magnetic allure, drawing travelers, adventurers, and the curious alike into their shadowed depths, despite, or perhaps because of, the fear they inspire. These forests possess a captivating quality that is hard to resist. The Sea of Trees in Japan, Hoia Forest in Romania, and the haunted woodlands of North America all share a sense of mystery that transcends cultural boundaries. There is something in the quiet rustle of leaves, the shifting patterns of light through dense canopies, and the subtle presence of shadows that evokes a profound curiosity. People are compelled to enter, to explore, and to experience firsthand what lies hidden behind the natural veil. The allure is not merely in the possibility of witnessing the supernatural, but in the way these forests challenge perception, test courage, and provoke introspection. One of the most powerful elements of haunted forests is the tension between danger and beauty. In Aokigahara, the black volcanic soil and towering trees create a landscape that is simultaneously serene and foreboding. The forest feels alive in a way that is almost palpable, each step revealing new textures, sounds, and visual surprises. Hoia Forest, with its twisted trees and ever-changing clearings, offers an otherworldly aesthetic that is both unsettling and mesmerizing. North American forests, from the misty hollows of the Appalachian Mountains to the shadowed expanses of the Pacific Northwest, similarly blend natural beauty with an aura of unease. This duality draws visitors in, inviting them to engage with the forest on multiple levels, visually, emotionally, and spiritually. The human desire to confront the unknown is central to the fascination with haunted forests. Unlike urban legends or haunted houses, these woods are vast and unpredictable, presenting challenges that test both the body and the mind. Wandering among towering trees, crossing fog-laden clearings, or following paths that seem to shift underfoot, forces visitors to confront uncertainty directly. In doing so, they engage with a primal aspect of human nature, the instinct to explore, to survive, and to understand the unfamiliar. The forest becomes a mirror for the mind, reflecting fears, curiosity, and resilience in equal measure. Haunted forests also serve as a space for personal reflection and introspection. The isolation, the muted sounds of nature, and the occasional glimpse of something inexplicable encourage deep thought. In Aokigahara, hikers often report a contemplative mood, sensing the weight of history and human experience that permeates the trees. In Hoia Forest, the strange phenomena and peculiar landscapes invite philosophical questions about reality, consciousness, and the limits of human perception. Even in North American forests, where legends are deeply intertwined with local culture, visitors frequently describe moments of profound clarity or emotional resonance, as if the forest itself is guiding reflection. These experiences suggest that haunted woods offer more than thrill or fear. They provide a liminal space for engagement with the self and the unknown. The allure of haunted forests is also amplified by the stories that surround them. Folklore, legends, and eyewitness accounts create a rich tapestry that feeds the imagination. In Japan, Aokigahara is layered with centuries of myth, tragedy, and cultural significance, each story adding depth to the forest's identity. Hoia Forest's reputation for paranormal activity has grown over decades of witness reports and local lore, while North American forests accumulate tales of the Jersey Devil, shadowy figures, and mysterious lights that span generations. These narratives function as both invitation and warning, shaping the expectations of those who enter and heightening the immersive quality of the forest experience. Sensory engagement is another critical element of the appeal. Haunted forests stimulate multiple senses at once: sight, sound, touch, and even intuition. Flickering lights, rustling leaves, unexpected shadows, and sudden changes in temperature all contribute to a heightened state of awareness. Visitors often describe feeling as though the forest is watching, responding, or even communicating in subtle ways. This interplay between perception and environment creates a sense of immediacy and intimacy, making each moment within the forest vivid, memorable, and emotionally charged. The combination of fear, awe, and curiosity produces a psychological cocktail that few natural environments can replicate. The psychological dimension of haunted forests is a key reason they hold such fascination. The human brain is wired to detect patterns, anticipate threats, and respond to uncertainty. In environments like Aokigahara, Hoia Forest, and North American woods, these instincts are continuously engaged. Dense foliage, irregular terrain, and shifting light conditions create opportunities for the mind to perceive shapes, movements, or sounds that may not have a clear origin. Shadow figures, whispering winds, and inexplicable lights exploit these cognitive processes, producing experiences that feel both intensely real and deeply mysterious. Even for the skeptical visitor, the forest encourages heightened alertness, which amplifies emotional response and makes the supernatural feel tangibly close. Cultural and spiritual factors further enhance the allure. In Japan, Aokigahara is not just a forest, but a site imbued with centuries of spiritual meaning, often associated with spirits, ancestors, and the boundary between life and death. The presence of such spiritual resonance shapes expectations, emotions, and interpretations of natural phenomena. Hoia Forest, often referred to as the Bermuda Triangle of Romania, carries a similarly eerie reputation, with local beliefs blending folklore, legend, and modern accounts of paranormal activity. North American haunted forests reflect a fusion of indigenous legends, colonial history, and contemporary storytelling, creating layered narratives that resonate across generations. These spiritual and cultural dimensions invite visitors to engage with the forest on levels beyond the purely physical, deepening the sense of mystery and connection. The allure also stems from the element of challenge. Haunted forests attest courage and endurance. Hikers navigating Aokigahara may confront not only the forest's natural obstacles, but also the emotional weight of its history. In Hoia Forest, travelers face disorienting terrain and the possibility of encountering inexplicable phenomena. North American forests similarly offer the thrill of venturing into the unknown, where one's navigation skills, intuition, and resilience are continuously engaged. This combination of risk, uncertainty, and wonder creates a powerful draw, appealing to those who seek experiences that push personal boundaries while providing the exhilaration of discovery. Many visitors report a profound sense of connection to the natural world within these forests. Haunted or not, these woods evoke awareness of scale, history, and the complexity of life beyond human perception. The dense trees, mossy undergrowth, and shifting light patterns create an immersive environment where one feels both small and deeply attuned to the surroundings. In Aokigahara, the silence and density of the forest amplify this sense of presence, encouraging mindfulness and reflection. Hoia Forest with its twisted trees and spectral anomalies, evokes curiosity and awe, reminding visitors that the natural world holds mysteries that defy simple explanation. In North America, the same feeling emerges among dense forests and misty hollows, reinforcing the idea that the forest is alive with subtle forces, both natural and possibly supernatural. The allure of haunted forests is also intertwined with the human attraction to stories of the unknown. Tales of disappearances, ghostly figures, mysterious lights, and unexplainable sounds spark imagination and curiosity. Even those who enter with skepticism are influenced by these narratives, often finding that the forest responds to their anticipation. This interaction between story and experience creates a feedback loop. The legend primes perception. Perception reinforces the legend, and each new encounter adds to the collective mythos. Over time, these layered experiences produce an enduring fascination that transcends generations, cultures, and individual differences. Emotional resonance is another factor that makes haunted forests captivating. Fear, awe, exhilaration, and wonder coexist in a delicate balance. A sudden glimpse of a shadow figure, the unexpected flicker of light, or the haunting echo of distant footsteps can evoke intense emotions, amplifying the significance of the experience. In many cases, visitors leave with memories that linger, shaping future behavior, beliefs, and personal narratives. These forests create lasting impressions precisely because they engage the emotional, cognitive, and sensory aspects of human experience simultaneously, forging encounters that are difficult to forget and impossible to replicate fully elsewhere. Ultimately, the allure of haunted forests is rooted in their ability to bridge the ordinary and the extraordinary. These woods are spaces where nature, history, and human consciousness converge, creating environments that are simultaneously tangible and mysterious. Visitors enter expecting uncertainty and leave with experiences that challenge understanding, expand imagination, and evoke a spectrum of emotions. Whether walking through the silent, shadowed paths of Aokigahara, navigating the ever-changing clearings of Hoia Forest, or following the misty trails of North American woodlands, people encounter moments that feel charged with meaning, as if the forest itself is alive and aware. One of the most compelling aspects of this allure is the invitation to explore both the external and internal landscapes. Haunted forests are not merely about encountering external phenomena. They also prompt introspection, forcing visitors to confront fear, curiosity, and personal limits. The isolation, sensory engagement, and subtle unpredictability of these woods amplify the mind's attention to detail, revealing aspects of perception, memory, and emotion that might otherwise remain dormant. In Aokigahara, some hikers find themselves contemplating the fragility of life, mortality, and the traces humans leave behind. In Hoia Forest, visitors often reflect on the nature of reality and the boundaries between the seen and unseen. North American forests inspire similar introspection, connecting the natural world with human history, culture, and personal experience. The continued fascination with haunted forests also reflects a deeper human yearning for mystery and discovery. In a world dominated by technology, urbanization, and predictability, these forests offer encounters with environments that defy control and resist complete understanding. They are reminders of the vast, untamed, and enigmatic aspects of existence, where uncertainty is not a threat, but a catalyst for wonder. The thrill of encountering the unexplained, the subtle signs of presence, or the lingering energy of history satisfies an innate desire to explore the unknown while remaining tethered to the natural world. Each forest, though distinct in geography and culture, taps into this universal craving for experiences that stretch beyond the ordinary. Another factor contributing to their enduring allure is the sense of shared human experience. Across continents, cultures, and generations, people report remarkably similar encounters: lights, shadows, auditory anomalies, and profound emotional responses. These shared patterns suggest that haunted forests resonate with universal aspects of human consciousness, functioning as environments that elicit deep archetypal responses. Visitors may feel a connection not only to the forest itself, but to countless others who have traversed its paths before, creating a continuum of experience that stretches across time and space. This sense of collective engagement strengthens the fascination, as each encounter becomes part of a larger narrative that spans cultures and history. Moreover, haunted forests embody a tension between fear and beauty that is central to their appeal. The interplay of light and shadow, dense foliage, and natural obstacles creates a landscape that is both alluring and intimidating. In Aokigahara, the quiet stillness is punctuated by subtle reminders of human vulnerability. Hoia Forest, twisted trees, and strange clearings evoke curiosity and caution simultaneously. North American forests offer a similar duality, blending serene natural beauty with the suspense of unseen forces. This tension heightens the emotional impact of the experience, making each moment in the forest feel significant, charged, and unforgettable. The allure is further intensified by the narratives that accompany these spaces. Stories of disappearances, ghostly figures, and unexplained events act as guides, framing perception and expectation. They transform the forest from mere wilderness into living landscapes of mystery, where each footstep is imbued with potential discovery. Cultural, historical, and folkloric narratives intersect with the personal experience, creating a rich, layered engagement that is both participatory and interpretive. Visitors are not passive observers, but active participants, interpreting, reacting, and contributing to the ongoing legacy of the forest. In the end, haunted forests captivate because they are mirrors, magnifiers, and mysteries all at once. They reflect human fear, curiosity, and imagination, magnify sensory and emotional awareness, and preserve enigmas that resist full explanation. Whether one seeks thrill, reflection, spiritual resonance, or simply a brush with the unknown, these woods offer experiences that are profound, unsettling, and unforgettable. From the sea of trees to Hoia Forest these woods offer experiences that are profound, unsettling, and unforgettable. From the sea of trees to Hoia Forest to the mist-shrouded North American woods, haunted forests endure as timeless spaces of wonder, challenge, and fascination. They remind us that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, but to be experienced, felt, and carried forward, ensuring that the whispers of the forest continue to echo through the minds and stories of all who enter. Beyond the immediate experiences of fear, curiosity, or awe, haunted forests carry an almost magnetic pull because they engage something primal in the human psyche. There is an instinctive fascination with the unknown, a drive to explore, understand, or simply bear witness to what lies beyond ordinary perception. Walking through dense woods where shadows shift unexpectedly, or where sounds appear to follow one's movements, taps into deep evolutionary mechanism. These are environments where heightened attention and vigilance would have been essential for survival, and the same instincts now create a powerful sense of engagement and immersion in the forest. The mind becomes alert to subtle cues, and ordinary stimuli, rustling leaves, flickering light, or distant echoes, can take on extraordinary significance. Another dimension of the allure comes from the interplay of solitude and reflection. Haunted forests are places where the usual distractions of daily life, noise, technology, social expectations, fade into the background. Alone or even with companions, visitors are forced to confront their own thoughts, fears, and perceptions in the presence of a living, breathing environment that seems aware of them. In Aokigahara, the silence and density of the forest create a weight that encourages introspection, while Hoia Forest's twisted paths and sudden clearings inspire contemplation and wonder. North American forests provide similar spaces for reflection, with misty hollows and shadowed trails offering both comfort and challenge. The isolation enhances the sense that every sound, sight, or shift in the environment carries meaning, making each encounter intensely personal. There is also a fascination with what is unknowable. Unlike controlled haunted houses or staged attractions, haunted forests resist complete understanding. Phenomena cannot be fully explained, whether they involve unexplained lights, shadowy figures, or changes in perception of time and space. This uncertainty is not a deterrent, but an attraction. Humans are naturally drawn to mysteries, and these forests provide an endless supply of them, each experience unique and impossible to predict. Visitors become part of an ongoing narrative that stretches back centuries, contributing their own observations while engaging with stories, legends, and phenomena that preceded them. The emotional intensity of haunted forests also reinforces their appeal. Fear, wonder, curiosity, and exhilaration coexist in ways that are rarely replicated elsewhere. A sudden flash of light through the trees, a whisper carried by the wind, or the feeling of being watched can trigger a cascade of emotions, linking the forest experience to memory, imagination, and perception. These emotions are amplified by the forest's sensory environment: uneven terrain, dense foliage, shifting light, and the subtle sounds of nature all heighten awareness. Visitors leave with experiences that linger, shaping not only personal narratives, but also contributing to the collective lore of these haunted places. Cultural, historical, and spiritual layers add further richness. Aokigahara, steeped in centuries of myth and human tragedy, carries a weight that is tangible to those who enter. Hoia Forest, with its reputation for unexplained phenomena, functions as a cultural touchstone in Romania, blending folklore, witness accounts, and mystery into an immersive experience. North American forests contain traces of indigenous history, colonial settlement, and countless personal stories, all interwoven with legends of the supernatural. These layers create depth, making each forest not only a site of natural wonder, but also a living archive of human engagement, imagination, and belief. Finally, haunted forests endure because they offer experiences that cannot be easily replicated. The combination of natural beauty, unpredictability, sensory richness, and psychological challenge creates encounters that are simultaneously universal and profoundly individual. People continue to seek out these woods, not merely for fear or curiosity, but to experience something larger than themselves, a space where nature, history, perception, and imagination converge. From Aokigahara to Hoia Forest to North American haunted woodlands, these forests remain timeless sources of fascination, drawing new generations into their shadows and ensuring that the whispers of the forest will continue to echo through the human imagination for centuries to come.